In this video, I'll be giving you some tips on knitting up your collegiate Christmas stocking. First, you cast on your stitches as the pattern states, and you start with motif number 1. Now, all the motifs you'll notice are upside down because you're knitting from the top to the bottom, but when your stocking is done, of course, it hangs the opposite way. So as we begin, we start with motif 1, and it's a nice little strip, and the last row on the motif number 1 is a purl row. Once you complete that purl row, you just start right in on motif 2. Now what that purl row does, as you can see here, it's a very nice folding row. Now this purl row is a very nice fold line that will help cover up all your stranded knitting at the top of your stocking, so that when your stocking hangs, you won't see any of your stranded knitting. You'll have a nice border at the top of your stocking. Knit your motif 2 using your stranded knitting, but on each of the stockings there is a row of, on the side, there's a row of holly running down the side. In this row of holly, there's a contrast color that is only used in both sides, on both sides of the stocking. You're not going to want to carry that red or that contrast color, whatever you have on your holly on the side, all the way around. So you're going to have 2 bobbins running down the side of your stocking, and you're just going to work it back and forth. As you come around, just go ahead and pull from this last stitch and just pull it right over. Don't make it too snug, and just make that 1 stitch and let your contrast color hang until you come back around, and just go ahead and pull it back into your other stitch. And you'll just work that back and forth and at the same time you'll just be using your main color and your main contrast color knitting Fair Isle in the round. Once you have completed the second motif, it's now time to divide for the heel. You will take the first 18 stitches of the row and the last 18 stitches of the row that you just worked on and place them on a needle, and that's what you'll be working the toe with. The remaining stitches you can just put on a piece of yarn to keep them out of the way as you work your heel. Now we will turn our work and start back, and we will knit our 18 stitches to the end. Okay, we're coming up to the end of our 18 stitches, and we're going to leave that last stitch unworked. We're going to turn our work, slip the first stitch, and now we're going to purl back. Now we're coming up to the last stitches of our heel of the 18 that we put on, and we're going to come to that last stitch, leave it unworked, turn our work again, slip our first stitch, and knit to the end. We'll continue in this manner where we are coming to the end and slipping 1 stitch, turning to leave 1 extra stitch on each end on each time we work that row, and slip the first stitch and go back. And you'll continue this until you only have 36 stitches left on the heel. Okay, so we're coming to the end of this 3rd row. There's the stitch that we left on last time. There's the stitch that we slipped. Now we're going to leave it unworked, turn, slip the next stitch, and purl back. And again, you continue doing this until you have 36 stitches left on your working needle. Okay, I've changed the background to back so you can see these stitches easier. I'm coming across and I'm going to leave the last stitch again, and I want to show you how you're able to clearly identify that. This is going to be the last stitch you're going to knit, and this is the one you're going to leave and turn. Now you can see how these nice little turn stitches are just stacking up really nicely. So you'll turn your work, slip your first stitch again, and then purl back. And you will do this until there's 18 stitches. Earlier I said 36, but we started with 36. So I guess I was just making sure you were paying attention. So you're going to keep leaving a stitch unworked on each end until you have 18 stitches total. And as we're coming up, you can see there's your slip stitch on your purl side, and that's the one you will leave. Now we're ready to turn the second part of our heel. And again, we're going to slip our first stitch, and then we're going to knit across the remaining 17 stitches. Alright, so here we are at the other end of our heel, and we're going to knit that first slipped stitch, the first turn, and we've got a pretty good gap between these two turn stitches. So we're going to go down here and get the bar between these two stitches, and from front to back we're going to pick it up from our left or right hand needle from front to back. Now we're going to take the left hand needle and go in behind that bar that we've slipped on the needle and give it a twist. So now it's laying on the left hand needle with a nice little twist in it. And then you just take that slip stitch and that twisted stitch and you knit them together, and that will close in that gap. Now you're going to want to turn your work, slip your first stitch, and purl to the end. Now we have purled to the other end of our heel. There's our first turn stitch. We're going to knit it, and then we're going to grab again that bar. It's in between those two stitches. And before we put it on the left hand needle, we're going to take our left hand needle and give that stitch a little twist. And now we're going to knit these two, or I'm sorry, we're going to purl these two together. Turn our work. Slip the first stitch and knit to the end. Now we'll continue in this manner until we have rebuilt that heel and we have all of our stitches that we had taken off earlier back on our needle. Okay, I'll show you one more time. We'll pick up that last turn stitch and knit it, and there's quite a gap. We'll pull up that bar and then give it a twist with our left hand needle, and then knit the two together. Turn, slip your first stitch, and purl back. Once you have all your stitches back on your needle and you've built the bottom part of that heel, you can now take your instep stitches and get them back on your needle. Do one row of decrease where you evenly space out 8 decrease stitches, and then you're going to want to do motif 3 for the toe of your stocking, and then just a simple knit two together toe. And the last thing you do is you put on your I-cord. And the I-cord is nice when you tack it down at the edge of your, at the inside edge of your band, of the inside band, and at the top, and then you've got a nice secure nice secure I-cord band.